sim in there in September, and recently I did get a new job that doesn't really pay well. In 4, 3, 2, 1. Good evening, it's Marie, and I'm coming to you from my living room. It is April 9th, 2022, and I wanted to bring you a little bit of news. I have something very interesting to discuss a little later on, but right now I'm going to give you a little bit of news and catch up on certain things that I've been doing. The first thing is, yes, I've been gaming again. I've been gaming because it is a release. It does help my need to create, because I can build in The Sims and I can build lives in The Sims, and it helps me to escape for an hour out of my day. Problem is, I turned around and I had a sim in there in September, and recently I did get a new job that doesn't really pay well. It just helps, Mr. McCarn, Dr. McCarn. He is a neuroscientist. I am helping him move videos from, I'm helping him with his videos, and what I'm doing is I'm taking out memes and I'm taking them and putting them together again, and then I'm uploading them to 3 different platforms. And then on another platform, a different platform, I was making sure all the links are good. However, that platform is in the making still, and so Kevin's been tweaking it, so I haven't been able to look at that to see whether or not any of the links need to be updated. So what I did was, because I have this job now, I decided to, because video and sound take up so much of your hard drive, so I decided to do Kev's videos, and I got a hard drive and move everything to the hard drive. And on top of that, I got a smaller one for me, and I'm moving my stuff to the hard drive. And what I did by accident was move some of my Sims stuff into there. I didn't realize I moved the Sims stuff, and it was just that. And when I went to play the game, it glitched out on me where I couldn't see anything, and I'm like, what did I do, or what happened? So what I did was I tried to delete my Sims that were in there, and it didn't work. So I looked in my flash drive, and lo and behold, there was my files I needed. So I had to move them back into the computer, and it worked. So then I had deleted the Sims I was playing, so I had to make 2 new Sims. And of course, I wanted to make Marie and Zach Sims. Marie, me, and Zach Bagans, Zach. However, I don't want to keep on doxing myself, so I made Sarah, and I made Zach Star, and I think I made my best house yet that I have ever made. And it's a little yellow house. Her favorite color is yellow, just like mine. And Zach's is red, so I kind of like put a challenge out there to match yellow and red together for a bedroom in the house. We moved in, and Marie and Zach finally did it. They decided to move in together. They decided it was worth the effort to buy enough land to stay over the years. Planning on getting married, they want a large family. Farmland is perfect, as they can grow their own food and cows and chickens even if they want. Marie started gardening to learn the ropes, and she is going to school, might I add. She's going to college. Woohoo! Right now it's culinary. Zach, on the other hand, is a mascot for a major league sports team. Together they are invincible, and that is my story for them. So, I wanted to let you in on all that scoop. My daughter is doing A-OK. I am doing A-OK. I started my Abilify about a month ago, and I like the way I'm on it. I got notes in front of me right now. I know what I want to talk about, and I'm not afraid to use this voice to come to you, even though it's a funny voice, but I love it. So there is something going on. I'm not a doctor, and I know I'm not a doctor, and many are missing it. We've had the whole viral outbreak, and I'm not going to go too much into that because I don't want to do misinformation, okay? We've had the whole virus CoV-2 outbreak. And what happened is they hypothesized, there's two hypotheses of how it has occurred. One is it is zoonotic, which means it occurred naturally in infected humans after it evolved. Or two, it came from a lab as a gain-of-function research project. And then inside that one, there's two. One was accidental and the other one was unleashed on purpose. So where does that, what am I going to talk about? I'm not going to talk about SARS-CoV-2, believe it or not, because I'm not going to be on that misinformation train. I'm not a doctor, and if I say anything wrong, I'm going to be eaten alive. Everything I have right now is just my speculation, and it's just something I'm seeing evolve in front of my eyes, and it's concerning to me. So I want to talk about hemorrhagic fever. I think I'm saying it right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. Hemorrhagic fever is in the news lately a lot. It's been in the news. But when Ebola happened, when SARS happened, it just got hush-hushed a little bit. All right. Now, I'm going to talk about Ebola and hemorrhagic fever. Why? Because they're linked, first of all. And I will get to why after we read a few things. All right, we're going to get to why. And I'm going to show you a couple things. And I'm going to play a short clip of a video for you. And then we're going to let you decide. I'll let you know what I feel, but then you can decide how you feel. And this is all just bringing information out of the woodwork to you. It's nothing about accusing anybody of anything. It's nothing about trying to put false information, which I'm not trying to do. It's just about something that we need to look at and we need to prepare for. Be prepared. We have a war in between Ukraine and Russia. Overseas. We have still a healthcare crisis with SARS-CoV-2. So, I mean, we don't need anything added to it, but I see something coming. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. So, what I need to do is show you a few things first. Ebola versus hemorrhagic fever. What's the difference? All right, now, I had to know what the difference was because I don't know. I thought Ebola was hemorrhagic fever. However, when you go down, it's Ebola's most notorious symptom may be hemorrhagic fever. So hemorrhagic fever is a symptom of Ebola. Now, what does this mean? But the virus is actually one of many viruses that can cause the hallmark bleeding from the nose, mouth, ears, and other places. So it's a hemorrhagic fever that causes bleeding from the nose, mouth, ears, and other places. So what does that mean? There are other viruses that cause this. So hemorrhagic fever is a symptom, unless it says Ebola hemorrhagic fever, yellow fever, or there's another one out there. You gotta understand that it's a symptom of a bigger, of one of the viruses that's causing it. Collectively known as viral hemorrhagic fevers, these illnesses typically cause a fever as well as extreme dysfunction in the body's network of blood vessels, which can result in profuse bleeding. The hemorrhagic associated with the VHFs can arise from a number of different factors depending on which virus a person is infected with, said Alan, that name, a virologist and professor of microbiology and immunology at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. Okay, in the case of people with Ebola, hemorrhaging occurs when the virus infects the liver, affecting the body's ability to make blood clotting proteins and causing blood vessels to leak. But other viruses may cause hemorrhaging by depleting the body's supply of platelets, which stop bleeding. So that's, I will link this paper in the description for you. It's a paper, but it's on actually Live Science, one of my favorite science magazines. And it explained Ebola pretty well. So I have another paper I'm going to be putting up now. And it's from ChristianityDaily.com. Christianity? Wait a minute. This paper was on January 11th, 2022. So that's this year, 3 months ago. The headline reads, Ebola-like hemorrhagic fever viruses now spreading in China. mRNA vaccine technology inventor reveals. I would like Kevin to look more into this. Why? I'll get to why in a few minutes. What I'm seeing. You will see this connection when we bring it. Dr. Robert Malone, which is a big name that Kevin and excuse me, that Kevin and Housatonic Live, Mark Kulak, and a few other people talk about Dr. Robert Malone. He's known as the inventor of the mRNA technology used in Pfizer and Moderna COVID vaccines recently. He spoke with Steve Bannon on the War Room to shed light on the latest viral outbreak in China, which the government, he claims, is hiding the truth about its origins. In December, the Chinese Communist government called Ziyang City in northwest Shaanxi province under lockdown following reports of hemorrhagic fever cases. Hemorrhagic fever cases in China. This is from a Christian. I always try to look at what I'm reading, where it's coming from, because there's certain ones that I don't want to read. So anyways, that's that article, and I'll link that with you. I'll link that for you too. Why? Because this is all what I'm seeing. Again, I'm leading up to something. Now, this is the outbreak I was talking about in 2019 when we had the outbreak of SARS happening. That was overshadowed this. Did you know that there has been a very alarming outbreak of hemorrhagic fever in China? This was dated December 31st, 2021. Okay, I'm wrong. So anyways, 2021. But SARS has been overshadowing this stuff. I'm not here to give you fear porn or anything like this. This is just a concerning thing, It's not going to hurt anyone. Well, yeah, that's not true. It's a concerning thing. However, I'm not going to sit there and say there's going to be an outbreak over it or whatnot. However, we need to think about what's going on with this, okay? Now, did you know that there has been a very alarming outbreak of hemorrhagic fever in China for the end of the American dream? By now, you have probably heard that the Chinese government has put the entire city of Ziyang under a very strict lockdown. So this was last year. In December. It was December, this is this year's. So anyways, residents have literally been forbidden to leave their homes without permission. All right, this is the Ebola-like thing again. It's hemorrhagic fever. What is hemorrhagic fever? We just discussed what hemorrhagic fever was. So I'll link this down in the description too if you want to read that article. It is from a Gospel News Network. Here's the clincher. I'm going to bring you to this now, and we're going to look at a video. And I want you to understand that this is a video that was played on Kevin McKern's station one time, way back when. And I think it's worth a revisit now that all this stuff is coming out. It's hemorrhagic fever. Ebola-like hemorrhagic fever. Alright, and it's really alarming that it's happening, and you know, like we just had in 2019 in December. It's alarming. It's alarming. They've had a lot of reports that this is what the next outbreak is going to be. However, don't sit there and be afraid of the media. It's fear porn. So we just want to be aware of what's going on around us. We don't want to be afraid of what's going on around us. We live too long, too many things in fear. Am I pretty enough? Am I smart enough? You know, what are they going to think about me? I'm afraid of what they're going to think about me. Oh, I'm afraid of going, you know, let's not live our lives in fear. Let's rise above and let's just be aware that it's out there. Just like there's awareness, like I'm teaching my daughter, that there's some very, very ill-intended people out there. So you really have to just be on your guard. Don't be hyper vigilant to where you're afraid to do anything, but just be aware that it's out there. All right, this video includes interns. They're medical interns. They're the Harvard Medical School undergrads is what it was. That's the word I was looking for, not interns. That's why I stumbled on it. They're undergrads. All right. And this is the Harvard School of Medicine. It's a video of the students, and it is dated October 31st, 2017. And October 31st, 2017. And I'm going to play a little snippets for you because
since there's no one to introduce me, I have to read my own titles. I'm Alina, Canada-born of House Chan, disruptor of biology, doctorate of molecular biology, postdoc of synthetic biology, fellow of Human Frontier Science Program, and mother of human artificial chromosomes. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you today about my hacks that can shadow the three kingdoms. So what I spent the last 2 years of my life working on hacks, it's because I believe they are an essential foundational technology for genome writing and mammalian cell engineering. This is the most efficient way forward to synthesize megabases of DNA and overcome that bottleneck of delivering them into human cells. But more significantly, in my process of building them, I found that it is a brutal test of our knowledge of human biology. You just cannot build what you don't understand yet. In particular, we're building a hack that can shuttle the three kingdoms. So,
they're building a hack, HAC, that shuttles three kingdoms.
We want them to be able to go into bacteria, yeast, and humans. We don't want to do our cloning in humans where it's slow and inefficient and problematic. We want to do it in bacteria and yeast, where we've done it for many years and are really good at doing it. We want to leverage on technologies we already have to build chromosomes and even genomes in yeast using transformation-associated recombination cloning. And recently, we've optimized a method to fuse yeast to human cells and deliver not just those megabase-sized constructs, but also functional proteins.
Okay, they're fusing yeast to human cells. You got that so far? So far, it sounds pretty benign. Fusing yeast.
So take that for Frankenstein cells. In a very specific case study, what we did was to fuse yeast that carries a herpes genome.
fusing yeast that carries a herpes genome,
as well as yeast that carries the Ebola VP35 protein,
as well as fusing an Ebola protein in yeast. The yeast is carrying the Ebola protein
to human cells.
And they're fusing that to human cells. Do you get that? They are taking an Ebola protein, putting it in yeast. They're taking herpes genome, and putting it in yeast. And they're taking those two yeasts and they're fusing it to a human cell.
What we accomplished with that was to show that you could make human cells produce infectious virus.
Okay. What they are trying to show is you can make human cells produce an infectious virus. SARS vaccines, the COVID vaccines, force your body to make a protein that is your own pathogen. What these undergrad students, they haven't graduated yet, are doing is taking Ebola protein, and they're taking the Ebola and they're putting in yeast, and they're taking the herpes genome and putting it in yeast, taking both of those and infusing them to the human cells. Why? So that they can prove you can make human cells produce infectious viruses. Let that sink. Your human cells will produce these viruses. They're being forced to make their own pathogen. Lab leak theory. Gain of function theory. Accidental release. Purposeful release. But it's all the same. They're forcing a human cell to make their own pathogen. Just like these vaccines are doing. They're forcing your human cell to make its own pathogen with the spike protein. Have a good night.
Only when you deliver both the herpes genome in combination with the virus protein from Ebola, because that shuts down antiviral pathways in humans. And so this is just one example, but you can imagine the kind of combinatorial toolkit for human cell engineering you could build using many different types of yeast with protein infectors and different genetic constructs.
Many different types. Shall I do a mic drop here? This is dangerous. What's happened this whole couple years. I'm not a doctor, but I'll tell you one thing. This doesn't sound very good and it sounds wrong. And like I said, interns. Hold on. Undergraduates are doing this, not graduates. Be aware. That happened in 2017. Don't be afraid. Be smart about things and do your homework. Have a nice evening.